For those of you who are visiting AppNexus for the first time, we're an internet technology company that powers much of the advertising which you see on the open internet. We're a global company with roughly 1,000 employees spread across 5 continents. But we were started here in New York 10 years ago in a much, much, much smaller space on 18th Street, just north of Union Square. Our founder and CEO, Brian O'Kelly, chose to headquarter AppNexus in New York. He chose New York because it's a matrix of creativity and economic vitality. It's diverse, it's dynamic, it's at the crossroads of advertising, media, finance, academia, law, publishing, and more. And evermore, it's becoming the center of technological innovation and scientific inquiry. The room that you're in today is called the Razzle Dazzle Room, but it's not just any room. Razzle Dazzle is a long-standing AppNexus tradition grounded in one of our core values of learning and teaching. Razzle Dazzle was started in 2009 as an opportunity for employees to razzle and dazzle their coworkers with an innovative project that they were working on. And as the company grew, we built this auditorium, and we opened up these events to our customers, our partners, and the wider community. And today, Razzle Dazzle is a pillar of AppNexus's commitment to the onward advancement of New York City as a diverse and robust tech hub. We do this through programs that we coordinate ourselves, as well as work with organizations and individuals who are similarly committed to growing, educating, and diversifying New York's digital workforce. We do this in a myriad of ways by hosting organizations like Girls Who Code. Year-round here in our office, Reshma Saljani and her team are here on the 7th floor with us, signing up as a founding member of organizations like the New York City Tech Talent Pipeline, and committing company resources and volunteering time to organizations like CS for All, Women in Tech in New York, NYC EDC, the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, and All-Star Code. Learning and teaching is indeed a fitting theme for today's announcement. As the mayor knows, great cities must invest in their residents. It's the right thing to do, and it's the smart thing to do. By establishing a new innovation hub in the center of Manhattan, this administration is promoting workforce development and education while providing entrepreneurs with a vibrant space in which to build and collaborate. And who knows, 10 years from now, one of those companies that's born at the Innovation Center may also occupy 5 stories in a building like this while providing employment to hundreds of employees in the neighborhood and supporting local businesses and restaurants. And the founder of that company might very well be someone who's acquired new skills at the Innovation Center. As I said, learning and teaching is a core value for AppNexus, and it ties so closely to what you're launching today. We're very excited to seeing the Union Square Innovation Center continue values that are near and dear to AppNexus's heart: learning and teaching, diversifying and enhancing inclusion, and growing the New York digital community. Thank you for choosing AppNexus today to help launch this critical initiative. Mayor de Blasio, honored guests, we're very pleased to welcome you to AppNexus. Thank you. And with that, I would like to introduce Andrew Rasiej, who's the CEO and founder of Civic Hall.
Thank you. Before I get started, I want to take a lead from Lady Gaga and do a shout out to my mom, who's sitting in the front row. Hi, Mom. Welcome. If you're here today, you must have a deep interest in the idea that technology can be used to support the public good. Thanks for coming. As mentioned, my name is Andrew Rasiej, and with my co-founder Mika Sifri, who's sitting right over here, we founded a space called Civic Hall, which is a collaborative work and event space focused on the idea that technology can be used to support the public good. We call that civic tech. 20 years ago, almost to the day, I was running a music hall right near here and about a block from where this facility is going to be built, called Irving Plaza. It was a music venue, and I was very intrigued by the idea that technology and the internet were going to change not only the music industry, but society. I was webcasting concerts, starting a digital music conference, and around the same time I met Jonathan Fanton, who at the time was the president of the New School and was leading the business community around Union Square to help with its renovation, but also asked a number of us business leaders to join him and help Washington Irving High School, which was just across the street from Irving Plaza and 2 blocks from this facility, where 3,000 mostly poor New York City students attended class daily, but only 55% of them graduated. The first time I walked into Washington Irving High School, I met Bob Durkin, the principal, and we toured the school, and I noticed that there wasn't a single computer anywhere in the building except for his office. So I asked him if he would like to set up a computer lab in his school, and of course he said yes. So I sent an email to 10 friends that I knew from the growing New York technology community and asked them if they would help me set up this computer lab. And to my surprise, about 2 weeks later, 200 of them showed up, and we got it done. That response made me realize that this issue of technology access for the underserved was important to other technology professionals in New York, and it inspired me to join with my friend and colleague Sarah Holloway, who many of you know, to start Mouse, which went on to wire even more schools throughout New York, and today is running technology programs in almost 100 New York City schools and 300 schools across the nation. Fast forward to today, and although Washington Irving High School is no longer operating, the building where it was houses the Academy for Software Engineering, where any New York City kid, regardless of background, can learn state-of-the-art computer science. Since its inception 5 years ago, almost 100% of the school's graduates have been accepted to go to college. What a difference. As inspiring as that story may be, many students and New Yorkers of all backgrounds do not have access to digital skills training. That's why I'm so proud to introduce to you today a man who I have known for almost the same 20 years, who supported me personally when I ran for public advocate to bring attention to the need to make low-cost broadband available to all New Yorkers. Bill de Blasio, more than any other political leader I know, recognizes the need to make sure that every New Yorker has access to information and the skills to use that information to provide for themselves and their families. He recognized that the entire concept of a true social and economically equal society cannot be met without also providing access to state-of-the-art workforce development skills and jobs. The New York technology community is the most diverse and empathetic in the world. Its greatest strength is actually not the technology created here, but it's human capital. Many of these people want to see technology used not just to make money, but to also see it support the public good. That's why 2 years ago we created Civic Hall, to help galvanize the wide array of New Yorkers and organizations who believe that technology to support the public should be built with, not for, the people it's trying to serve. This new facility at Union Square at Civic Hall, this new facility at Union Square with Civic Hall as its anchor is so important because New York City is making a commitment not only to the idea that technology can make the city work better, but its own people should have the skills necessary to find jobs that will sustain them, and that by doing so, New York City will retain the greatest and title of being the greatest and most equitable city in the 21st century. Now let me introduce you to the man who's helping make that happen and shares this vision with me and everyone in this room, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I just want to say it's really a pleasure to be a part of this conversation today because of exactly what Andrew referred to, because of the nature of this community. And I want to first say a lot of people provided leadership and helped people think about what the tech community's role in this city could mean for all of us. And no one sparked that conversation more and helped people deepen their connection to the city and help people understand the impact they could have on their fellow New Yorkers and far beyond. No one's done that more than Andrew Rasiej. Let's thank him for all he has done. I want to just take a moment to officially thank Andrew's mom for bringing him up. Good job, Mom. But this community, as I've experienced, especially over the last 3 years as mayor, something very special is happening here. And Andrew's right, this is the most diverse tech community in the country. I believe, and I say this as a point of pride, I believe it's the most socially conscious tech community in the country, and that so much good is happening in this community that's affecting so many New Yorkers, and that there's a deep desire to have that good reach a lot farther and to make the community ever more inclusive as part of a more inclusive city, a more equal city. So there's a tremendous synergy here that I feel and I appreciate. And I want to thank everyone for being part of today's discussion that I think will typify that. Now, a special thank you to AppNexus for hosting us, and I have learned a valuable new phrase today. I want to thank all the AppNexians. I'm going to propose for the next Star Trek movie that one of the alien races be called the AppNexians. It has that wonderful, sort of sense of mystery about it. Sounds like a very advanced group of people, wouldn't you agree? Commander, the AppNexians are trying to hail us. See, believable, isn't it? I also want to say that I appreciate the concept of razzle dazzle, and I appreciate a company that believes that all the members of the company have to keep learning and growing, not just as employees, but as human beings and as members of the broader community. That's a pretty extraordinary thing. So I want to give a special thanks to CEO Brian O'Kelly for that commitment and that belief. I very much appreciated the comments of your general counsel, Nithya Das. Thank you for your leadership as well. Let's give her a round of applause. And we're excited for what's going to be happening right here in this area of our city. So much has been happening, but now something very powerful being added into the mix that's really going to propel forward our efforts to strengthen and grow the tech ecosystem and also make it something that more and more New Yorkers can be a part of and can benefit from. The Union Square Tech Hub, and I just want to draw your attention to the beautiful rendering. Here I will do the game show. Look at the rendering, isn't it beautiful? This is going to be an extraordinary building in so many ways. And it is not just, I think it's striking and beautiful to begin with, but it is going to be a place of welcome and inclusion. It's going to be a place for people to meet, to network, to think up great ideas together, to build a business, to learn where they can get training and access to this community. It's going to be something we've never had. And something a lot of people in the tech community have said to the city would really help us grow together. It's going to be a profoundly egalitarian and open place, which is exciting, and it's also going to be the only one like it of any major city in America, which is a statement on how we do things here and the values we bring here and the values of this tech community. And it's also showing all the people that this is for them. This is for them. It's not something that's hard to access or that you have to have already gained all the skills to be a part of, but this is an open door of welcome. Now, a lot of people gathered together with the city to build up this idea, and now are going to be partners in making it a reality. And I just want to take a moment to thank them, because I think they're all going to have a very big and positive impact on New York City. So let me name them. I want to thank the CEO of General Assembly, Jake Schwartz. You can clap all along the way. The Executive Vice President of Perscolis, Angie Kamath. Executive Director of CSNYC, Michael Preston. The Executive Director of Access Code, Juke Su. CEO of Code to Work, Melinda Chang. CEO and President of the RAL companies, Robert Levine. CEO of FedCap, Christine McMahon. The President and CEO of the New York Public Library, Tony Marks. The Executive Director of the Union Square Partnership, Jennifer Falk. And the Executive Director of Help USA Fund, Rob Walsh. And Rob, I see where you are, but I want to thank you because you've done so much to make Union Square a better place going back decades and decades. So thank you for that extraordinary commitment. I want to thank the elected officials who support this vision and are going to be crucial to making it a reality. The Borough President of Manhattan, Gail Brewer. I also want you to know that Gail was giving me tech instruction and inspiration / lectures and orders when I was a city councilman. We were a council together, and she was pointing me on the right path. So Gail, thank you for your tutoring and for your commitment to both the growth of this community and the inclusion of it. I want to thank State Senator Brad Hoylman, please. And City Council Member Ben Kalos. And finally, from the city government, some of the folks who are going to work so hard to make this a great reality for the city, the President of the Economic Development Corporation, James Patchett. Our Chief Digital Officer for the City of New York, Sri Srinivasan. And our Chief Technology Officer, I'm very proud of our new CTO because we stole him outright from San Francisco, Miguel Gamino, thank you. Steal's such a strong word, isn't it? Recruited sounds so much nicer. So look, this is about, yes, it is about economic development. Yes, it's about job creation. Yes, it's about making sure more and more New Yorkers benefit from this extraordinary tech ecosystem. But I also would say, and I'm going to be careful, I will be nonpartisan, I will be above the fray, but I think I can code this properly. Watch me. It's about protecting democracy. It's about protecting an open society. I think you were able to infer my meaning. It is, look, one thing I learned a long time ago about the tech community is there is a fervent passion for ensuring an openness of information and debate and an inclusive society. What we're doing with this beautiful hub will be a part of that. And what we do every day and the work our city does with the tech community is part of in every sector. Whether it's the human experiences, and you're going to hear from these great individuals in a moment, hear their stories of what their experience with this community means for them, their lives, their families, but also that there's a commitment to an open society. And that's something I remind people we have to earn. Democracy is something we inherited, but we have to earn it. We have to live it. We have to model good behavior. We have to model what an inclusive, positive, multicultural, multi-faith society looks like. That's a place called New York City, right? We are a beacon that a lot of people need to be shown and be reminded of the value that we prove every day. So this is going to be a place that does it. You literally be able to walk in the door, whether you are already a part of the tech community or not, you'll be able to walk in the door and connect. If you're part of the community, you'll be able to share ideas with people you've never met before. It's going to have a wonderful communal village square kind of feel to it. And that's something that's great for the city. It's going to be a place where people can get training. It's going to be a place where people can start a company, keep building a company, There are folks who have gone past their apartment, need something more, are not yet ready for 5 floors in a building. This is going to be a place where that great growth can happen. 600 jobs will be in this hub, having an immediate positive impact on our community. And it is a perfect place, not only so close to where so much is happening in the tech ecosystem already, but one of the centerpiece places in New York City, one of the easiest places to get to, right in the center of the action, perfect access by transportation, all of it here. These same values govern our city's approach to fostering engagement and involvement in the tech ecosystem. We know that, and our studies prove, that this community now accounts for over 300,000 jobs, and we are certain that that number is growing regularly. And we want it to grow a lot more. And we want everyday New Yorkers to get opportunity. Young people come out of our public schools who go to our city university. Our tech talent pipeline is a great example of this. Working with this community to figure out the needs, working with our academic institutions, working with our training organizations and nonprofits, getting young people and some people who have been working for a while to a different level of opportunity. A typical graduate of our tech talent pipeline makes $65,000 a year. That's an amazing level to reach for so many people in this city. That's a salary you can live on in New York City. And you can build a life up ahead for yourself and your family. That's extraordinary. We believe this kind of effort, combined with a whole set of targeted investments to build this community and a lot of other key parts of our new economy, not only tech, but life sciences and advanced manufacturing and film and TV, all of these areas that are booming, we believe with targeted investment by the city, we're going to be able to add 100,000 more good-paying jobs in New York City over the next 10 years. On top of everything the private sector will do on its own, we believe these targeted investments are going to add intensely. And it's all to a purpose: better and fairer lives for all New Yorkers, but also keeping this the open city, keeping this a place for everyone, making sure that neither exclusionary policies nor economic exclusion keeps us from being a place for every kind of person. I know some other parts of the country struggle with this challenge. We're all struggling with new realities, but we believe we can do the right things to make sure this is still a city for every kind of person. And that energy, that creativity that is sparked by a place for everyone will continue to be the hallmark of New York City. So we're going to have a dialogue. I know Andrew will guide us through it. But I just want to thank you. Everyone in this room cares about the city. Everyone in this room has used what you bring to the equation to help make this a better place. I want to thank you for that, and I look forward to joining with you in this beautiful new space. Thanks so much.
Okay. So what we decided to do today was, maybe give you a little more understanding of what's going to be here. So this particular building that you see behind us is going to have an 80,000 square foot anchor, which we call Civic Hall, and attached to Civic Hall will be a 40,000 square foot space, a workforce development center, where a number of the city's best-in-class workforce development organizations are going to share classrooms, share curriculum, share teachers, share students, and be able to advance not only what was talked about earlier by the mayor, but be able to advance the idea that technology their work can marry to the idea that technology can be used for the public good so that we can build with, not for, the people that we're trying to serve. And the partners in that project are General Assembly, Perscolis, FedCap, the Computer Science Foundation of New York, Code to Work, and Access Code, and we expect that many other workforce development partners in the city that work already with the city, including with the mayor's tech talent pipeline, will view this facility as a catalyst and a home for their work as well. And to give you a sense of how transformative digital skills training and workforce development is, we've invited 3 people who are living it right now to join us and have a little bit of a conversation with the mayor and with us about how it's affected their lives. So we have Stacy White, who went through a program with the city's Tech Talent Pipeline. She's sitting in the middle. We have Sean Stern, who is a teacher at the Academy for Software Engineering that I mentioned earlier, that almost has 100% of its students graduating now from the same building where Washington Irving High School is, and Shervon Lewis, who went through a program with our partner Perscolis. And I'm going to start with Stacy. You're a second-generation Queens college grad, correct? Yeah. You have your microphone? Yeah.
Yes.
And you took a free job, IT job training program. You took a program of the Tech Talent Pipeline Initiative, right? And now you're working at Time Inc.?
That's correct. So I interned under the Tech Talent Pipeline residency program, and basically it was a 5-week training program that was followed by an internship at a company that they lined me up with, and it happened to be with Time. So after my internship, I went back to school, and then after I graduated, I went back to work full-time under Time Inc.
So may I jump in? This to me, first of all, congratulations for all you've achieved already. Talk to all of us, and please in a strong voice so everyone in the back can hear you. Talk to all of us about what your assumptions were before you got the internship of whether you would be able to quickly get into that type of work or that type of company. Did you feel it was an easy path? Did the internship change your view of things? Talked about sort of where you started and what you learned along the way.
Well, when I initially started under the internship program, I wasn't entirely sure if this was what I wanted to do and if I was ready for it, because I felt like I really lacked the real-world experience that would give me a better idea of how my skills could be applied. But after going through that 2-month training program, I came out feeling, okay, I can do this. I can kind of grow up a little bit and actually get a job in CS.
And just I'm going to follow on one more, did you have a sense of what that kind of company would be like? In other words, before you did the internship, would you have thought that's a place for you, or was it the internship that gave you the sense of how you might connect to such a company?
Well, I went in not knowing anything, really. And it was only after I started the internship that I realized, okay, I felt like it was a good fit for me. The people were very friendly and very willing to help and eager to learn more about technology in general. So I felt like it was a very attractive type of energy in that team, and I really wanted to continue working with them.
What neighborhood are you from in Queens?
Flushing.
Flushing, Queens.
Flushing, Queens.
Excellent. Thank you.
Shervon, you're from the Bronx, right?
1 second. Yes, that's correct.
And you participated in a free IT job training program offered by Perscolis, and then got an internship with an investment manager. And so where are you now? And please share with us and the mayor, if you can, how you think that training program impacted your life.
Thank you. I'm actually still with, sorry. I'm actually still with the investment manager. I'm actually consulting at that firm right now. It was actually a tough road. I was there for about 4 to 5 years, started as an intern. And then eventually, after 9 months, they gave me a job working at the help desk, where I learned most of the infrastructure of the company and how to do a lot of the financial industry's, practices. They really liked me, so they brought me back to do desktop support and infrastructure support back in the New York office, where I'm currently at now. But I also decided that I want to take it a step further, whereas even just this week, I was able to pass the CompTIA Mobility Plus certification on my path to becoming a mobile engineer.
Excellent. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
You are seeing success before your very eyes. So what neighborhood are you from? What neighborhood in the Bronx?
Oh, I'm actually from the Bronx. I was on Story Avenue on Taylor.
Okay.
Soundview.
And so let me ask you, same kind of question. Growing up in Soundview in the Bronx, did you think the technology community was the kind of place you would find a job?
When I graduated from high school, that was the field I wanted to be in, but I had no idea how to do so. So I didn't know if I would actually end up in the field, but I tried my best.
Which high school did you go to?
Samuel Gompers.
Okay, so you're at Samuel Gompers, and you like the idea, but did you have a sense of sort of what would be before you found this opportunity, did you have a sense of how to get started, who to talk to, where to go?
Not at all. I actually started off in a teaching internship for AutoCAD because that was what was offered to me when I graduated. It wasn't something I really wanted to do, but I just did whatever was offered to me. One day my mother actually said, hey, what about Perscolas? They came to my church one day. And I looked it up and I said, this is the place I need to be.
First of all, I commend Perscolas for excellent outreach. Well done. And when you started to experience the training, did you then feel that you could actually visualize this path? Did you start to think it was something that could work for you?
Oh, definitely. Once I got in, I decided that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this my career. And from day one, just when I seen what was going on within Perscolas, I already knew this was me. Especially after coming from doing 3 years of teaching AutoCAD, I just felt like this was me and that was not.
Excellent, excellent. I just want to say for the record, I think this should be the new mayoral haircut. I think this is, I'm kind of bored of this traditional look. I need to switch it up a little here, you know?
He could give some pointers to the president, too,
Would you bring me to your barber? Can we do that?
Oh, sure. I just visited him today.
Okay, great. We've got a plan.
So, Sean, you came with, I think, 6 or 7 students from your academy. Let's give them a shout out. Seniors and juniors from the Academy for Software Engineering. And you see a lot of students that are coming to your school, which we mentioned again, that's an amazing statistic that so many of them graduate and go on to college, but many of them didn't have any real CS experience before they got there. And now that they have gotten some, can you talk a little bit about how it's increased their opportunities and how their outlook through that program, through what you teach?
So I think the biggest thing that the Academy for Software Engineering does is that CS is sort of a mandatory part of the curriculum for all students in an unscreened school. And the biggest value that has is putting it in students' vocabulary. I've talked to students before and you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say, oh, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. And often that's not necessarily because they have direct experience, but they see TV shows and being a doctor is a cool thing and being a lawyer is a thing. And as silly as it sounds, one of the best metrics I think we have is if you ask an average student, what do you think you're going to major in? They'll be like, oh, like maybe biology or like maybe computer science. It's just a thing now that is part of their vocabulary, and they know to some extent what it entails, that it's not playing video games, it's not something where someone just watches a screen and things fly by, but they do have some meaningful sense of what that is, and I feel like that's a really important first step to connecting folks through the pipeline, particularly things like Tech Talent Pipeline and CS programs in the CUNYs and SUNYs.
Can I just pick up on that? First of all, thank you profoundly for the work you're doing. And I say whenever I encounter an educator that education determines human destiny, certainly determines economic destiny at this point more than any other point in human history. And this is you're doing the work that's having in many ways the biggest multiplier effect in our society. But you said something important. I just want to make sure everyone heard the fullness of it. An unscreened school, which means not an elite school, not we have a group of schools in this city that are legendary and you have to pass a very rigorous test and few people get in, but an unscreened school means a school that's acceptable or accepts people of all different kinds of backgrounds. What you are doing obviously fits deeply with what we're trying to do with computer science for all throughout the school system, what we're trying to do with advanced placement courses in every high school, again, regardless of their history. Every high school now will have AP courses in New York City. When you talk to your students, do you feel, it's the same variation on the question, when you first encounter them, do you feel they think it would be cool, but it may not be for them, they may not actually belong, or do you think that they think this is a job where I can fit, I will be accepted, I can navigate? What do you feel at the beginning, and then what do you see in the course of the years you spend with them?
So I think as a teacher, we serve a lot of kids, so it's all over the place. There are kids who, my parents signed me up for this, so that's why I'm here. God bless their parents. There are kids who are like, I want to be a software engineer, that's what I'm really into. There's kids in the middle who thought, oh, I like technology, I'll try this out. And so I feel like what I've seen that's sort of most powerful for me are students who have a very vague idea of what that would mean, sort of the work that it would entail, what it looks like to be in a company like AppNexus. And they have a very firm, concrete idea of these are the skills I need, these are the connections I can make, and this is how I move forward. I have an advisee who was lucky enough to present some work that he did for school and make a connection with Kickstarter. And because he's had that internship opportunity, he has a very concrete sense of what it looks like to work in tech in terms of, you know, compensation, in terms of the environment, and sort of what you said about, you know, that entry-level jobs in this field are very well compensated, and that now is something that he has an opportunity and access to is, I think, amazing.
You've explained to all your students that in the tech community, you must wear a three-piece suit at all times.
So the funny part is I joke with them that I used to work in tech, and I dress up the most now at this. Like, I had a student who said to me, he's like, why does everyone wear the same gray hoodie? I'm like, it's part of the uniform. You just gotta buy it.
I kind of think you're overdressed for this environment, okay?
They told me to dress up. You don't gotta dress.
But one more question to you. So as you're seeing the development, the growth throughout the years of your students, what do you see, do you see a direct connection to sort of broader self-esteem as they master these skills? Does it communicate something to them humanly, how important these skills are in our society today?
So I think in the right context, students recognize how important it is to be able to sort of control technology that they use in their everyday life. I had a student who said, you know, as an example, that knowing this, he feels empowered. Like, his mom doesn't know how to control certain settings on her phone. And the degree to which having concrete tech skills, it's not just I can control the settings on my phone, but I can think deeply about why should this app look this way? Why should the policy on this social network be like this? And are there meaningful changes they can make? So I think for a lot of students, they see it as a route to providing, I don't want to say control, but sort of meaningful engagement and agency. Thank you. Agency in something that's pervasive in their lives.
Stacy, so if you think about yourself 5 years or 10 years from now, what do you imagine, what do you hope for now that you've been turned on to a technology career?
Well, right now, my goal is to learn as much as possible. In part because I'm actually still unsure of what I wanted to do. And I feel that if I can accumulate as much as I can because of the sheer broadness of the CS field, it would give me a better idea of exactly what it is that I want to focus on.
Siobhan, you?
Currently, I'm infrastructure support. I'm looking to become an infrastructure engineer, whether it's in mobile support or mobile engineering or desktop engineering. I just want to add that last title to my name.
Sean, I also, we talk about New York technology community being diverse, but the technology industry as a whole is not very diverse. In fact, it doesn't have, it has like some of the worst numbers because so much of the focus in the last 10 or 20 years has been mostly around white males, engineering students. And I'm just curious whether you can give the mayor and all of us some advice or perspective on what you see would help, particularly at the high school level, encourage more women, particularly women, to take CS as a path or an understanding as something that they should incorporate into their lives so they'll be successful? Do you see any, if you observe something that you think would be, from a policy perspective, you think that would make that better?
So I think, so we're an unscreened school, but students sort of, when a lot of, our best students are young women. So I think making sure that there's a strong message that this is for them, and it sort of relates to the nature of our high school being unscreened and CS being a mandatory course that students take. I sound like an old guy, but kids don't know necessarily what they want to do or what they don't want to do. And saying, hey, this is just something students in New York City public schools do. They take computer science. It's just another subject. It's like math, it's like biology. And saying your computer science class isn't something that you need to join a club or be into this particular type of computer science output like video games or certain aspects, and saying, no, it's just a core subject. So I think that early exposure and the mandatory early exposure lets students at least make a somewhat more informed decision.
Yeah, and look, the point you made about some guidance counselors, I hope that is something we're not seeing much of anymore, but you're inspiring me to go back and make sure we're re-messaging to our team across the Department of Education that we have to be really smart to send a message to folks that every field is for everyone. I think you're right. Computer Science for All is implicitly sending that message, and as it deepens, we're going to be training thousands of teachers to be able to teach the skills to their kids. I think that's going to help send a message this is for everyone. But let me follow through even a little more sharply on Andrew's question, which I appreciate. So do you find either young women or young people of color who overtly say to you, I'm not sure that's an environment where I'm going to be welcome? Do you find that, or do you find that that's in the air and needs to be answered?
So I feel like the scarier thing is it's not said because to some extent it is in the air pervasively. That students wouldn't think to say that's not for me, they just wouldn't show up in the first place, if that makes sense. So when you mentioned per scholas recruited at the church, it's like, oh, you're going to places where people are to let them know that it's for them. And so I think particularly at the high school level, my biggest worry is we're not even seeing them coming into the school in the first place and making sure that we can be explicit about inclusion earlier. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, and I think it's a powerful point. It's something my wife talks about a lot, and she has educated me deeply on. And you sparked a point when you said about the guidance counselors. My wife, had teachers in her public high school in Massachusetts discouraging her from applying to Wellesley College, where she ultimately went, because she was one of the only African Americans in the school. And literally, and that was a somewhat different time, but we have to recognize that a lot of messages get sent, a lot of things get coded in our society, and it's all of our jobs to overcome that. And again, I think the tech community here has done an extraordinary job of moving to break down those barriers and change the message. But the per scholas example, I want to commend. One of the best ways to tell people this is for them is to go where they are, right?
And that's one of the reasons why we're so excited that the city and the mayor have recognized Union Square as a hub where every single New Yorker literally passes on their way to work or to take care of a family member. And that the idea behind this place is that it will be open for every New Yorker of every stripe, whatever age, whatever color, whatever need, to be able to access the same opportunities that we heard described today. And so with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank again the mayor for his leadership on this issue. And thank you for taking such an interest in the idea of creating the most equitable city in the world, New York City in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.